This podcast is a production of Unfiltered Studios. If you would like to know more about joining Unfiltered Studios, please visit our website at unfpod.com for more information.
Grandfather's here.
Can't you tell me I'm sick? He'll pinch my cheek. I hate that.
Maybe he won't.
Hey, how was this sickie? Huh? I brought you a special present.
What is it?
It was the book my father used to read to me when I was sick, and I used to read it to your father. And today, I'm going to read it to you.
It was a time when life didn't seem so complicated.
Marriage is what brings us together today.
What?
What?
I'm killing myself once we reach the honeymoon suite.
Wouldn't that be nice?
A courtly age. Of gentle conversation.
I will always come for you.
But how can you be sure?
This is true love.
Oh, no. Is this a kissing book?
No. Actually, there was a lot of treachery. Peril. And revenge.
Prepare to die.
Never go in against a Sicilian when death is on the line.
There were affairs of state.
But I've got my country's 500th anniversary to plan, my wedding to arrange, my wife to murder, and Gilda to frame for it. I'm swamped.
And affairs of the heart.
My Wesley will always come for me.
Your Wesley is dead.
I've seen worse.
Bye-bye, boy.
Have fun storming the castle.
It's more than 30.
What's the difference? We've got him.
Think it'll work?
It would take a miracle.
Goodbye.
It's a story of love. A tale of adventure. It's as real as the feelings you feel.
No kissing again.
Someday you may not mind so much.
The Princess Bride. Not just your basic, average, everyday, ordinary, run-of-the-mill, ho-hum fairy tale.
You've probably heard the critics praise The Princess Bride, but have you heard this?
What?
It had adventure, it had romance, it was really funny.
Hysterical. Oh, my God.
You're that smart.
Have you ever heard of Plato, Aristotle, Socrates?
Yes?
Morons.
That was an incredible movie.
It really, Crystal, was great.
I'm not listening.
It was hysterical.
Have fun storming the castle.
The Princess Bride, rated PG, now playing at theaters everywhere.
Remixed. Reloaded it. Re-edited.
Sometimes we get so deep into conversation that we have separate segments worthy of their own place in the sun.
Here is a reshuffled mini episode.
Your mother was a hamster and you smelled of elderberries. I kid. We're not talking about the Holy Grail. We're talking about a perfect double feature with it that many moviegoers were interviewed as saying it's the next Monty Python. It is The Princess Bride.
Yeah.
Tyrone, you know how much I love watching you work, but I've got my country's 500th anniversary to plan, my wedding to arrange, my wife to murder, and Gilda to frame for it. I'm swamped.
Oh my God.
I haven't seen it in about over 10 years, and I watched, I just knew what was coming the whole time. It's such a well-written, well-crafted movie.
Oh,
it's beautiful. It's amazing.
And the more you know it, like once you've seen it, like gone in cold and everything, like it's just wild how like this time I was looking at it even more objectively. It's like I was making time to find the other inside jokes that go over people's head. That's the sign of a good comedy when you. So riddle me this. I had some fun trivia that I wrote down here. So as a quick summary, a swashbuckler saving his fiancée who is about to be married to a tyrant king. Our wonderful swashbuckler finds the most unusual allies to take back.
Yeah.
Inconceivable.
Inconceivable. So Riddle me this. Yeah, the one line that many people will quote, and that's when you know they're an '80s movie comedy person, is when Carol King's, Miracle Max's wife they'll either quote "liar, liar," or they'll do, the "have fun storming the castle." So riddle me this. You guys are all big theater people. Did you notice? I made a note of this. I'm like, I think that's a call out to theater protocol. Do you notice when Miracle Max is running in a circle as his wife shouts King Humperdinck's name?
Stick him.
Yeah. Do you think that's a play on how in theater they make you undo the curse of bad luck if you say Lady Macbeth's name by accident?
It's get alive. It's stick him.
I was getting that same kind of gist.
I knew you didn't say Macbeth, but I didn't know.
There's one line.
Trust me. I had a theater director who put me on the spot. He was like, "Turn around!" They take it seriously. They are pretentious about it.
There was one line in that movie that I use somewhat frequently whenever I hear somebody use a word that doesn't mean what they think it means.
Yes,
I'll be like, I don't think that word means what you think it means.
Oh man, in the 2000s, I never tired of all the different memes that would have Diego Montoya, and they would have you keep using that word. I don't think you know what it means. It was perfect.
My favorite scene in that movie is Billy Crystal's "Are you the Miracle Max?" What? The king's stinking son fired me. By the way, why don't you give me a nice paper cut and pour lemon juice on it? They're closed.
Oh my god.
He says, what, do you want me to call the Brute Squad? I am the Brutes. I'm on the Brute Squad.
the Brute
Squad. You are the Brute Squad. Come on in. He's like, this man is only partially dead.
Yes,
that's the blade, which is the bluff, which is a good thing to do, except for a nice MLT mutton lettuce and tomato sandwich where the mutton's cut nice and thin and the tomato and the lettuce, that's good. That scene cracks me up because I remember being in the movie theaters with my parents, and when Billy Crystal came on and did that whole Miracle Max thing, I was like laughing my ass off. Because I love Billy Crystal, and he would do the old Jewish voice all the time on his shows. He'd be like, they're closed, god damn it.
Well, and having worked with Rob Reiner, already on Spinal Tap, you can kind of tell how it's a mixture of improv mixed in with just, again, it's the right kind of comedy, because you're saying
improv that scene.
They also
there's a bit of improv, but like what I mean is just through your comedy, you are telling more about your character instead of just I'm being random, I'm being funny.
Well,
and Mark Knopfler's, I had fun. This is one of the first movies he scores after Dire Straits, but I love how
Local Hero. He did Local Hero.
Oh, I love Local Hero. We should talk about that one, Mitch.
We should, but that the score reminds you to kind of laugh. It's not campy per se, but it's just that it's kind of a sarcastic score, and I had fun looking at this. Like, isn't it wild how our hero, Wesley, dresses up as Zorro, but then he gives his wardrobe to the real Zorro, Diego. It's a total role reversal. It's just funny because, even though those of you who've seen the movie, and it's not hard to guess, it's like, well, yeah, Cary Ellis is one of the first names on here. So, yeah, obviously the guy in the mask is him, but I love how they keep you in suspense for that. It's like, it's fun how he, kind of like Batman, he has this alter ego,
I am the dread Pirate Roberts. I have come here for your soul.
I used to have a Maine Coon cat who we actually named Fezzik.
Well, and speaking of
he
Fezzik,
was just as awesome as this guy.
His line that he uses in the movie where, Wallace Shawn's character is telling him, hit him with a rock. And he goes,
yes,
my way is not very sportsmanlike.
Yeah. See, that's what I love too. They're all so unpredictable because they're all doing things like, what can you name any movie? Maybe a modern day movie, but seriously, name a movie where pirates or a ragtag group of thieves are in the first scene, smarter than the guy who's hired them. It's like, it's not.
Well, and then I can't think of the names offhand. Like you said, Fezzik. That was Andre the Giant.
Fezzik, Brazzini.
And like you say, what can you name a pirate who has a code of honor? That doesn't happen.
That's in Mandy Patinkin's character.
But even he, as he's taking on Wesley, it's so funny how he's wrestling is like, I don't recommend you do that. It's not going to end well. Like, he's it's kind of Schwarzenegger-ish.
He gets impatient for him to come up the cliff.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
He helps him come up,
It's so funny. It is almost like the Monty Python scene that I quote all the time. Get on with it. It's that exact same kind of thing. It's like, or as Joel Hodgson would say on Mr. Science Theater, move the plot along. It's just funny how they are trying to be smarter than the average bear.
They're supposed to be enemies and they're being good to each other.
Yeah, same thing with Diego. He's just like, you need any help? Yeah, no, I got it. Growing up, I saw this when I was 12. I was familiar with Errol Flynn movies, but I felt like it was also much like Willow, which came out a year later. For me, it felt like a more mature kind of Wizard of Oz. I dug how there was all kinds of stuff. You had romance for the women. You had, again, a meta narrator. To prepare for this, Gil, I listened to your favorite podcast, What Went Wrong. And it really is amazing. Just growing up, people were like, they look at the trivia and they're like, why didn't the studio understand it? And, thinking of it, when you see how well the movie is, you're like, what wouldn't they understand? And I can tell you now, especially hearing that episode and having read the book, which again, was by the same screenwriter, William Goldman. He thought of writing a sequel, but to make it even more crazier, there's so many different versions of the novel. Like he did a special edition. Like there are so many different versions of that one novel. So kind of like Frank Conniff said in our interview, is like, our executives just dumb? Don't get me wrong. There's plenty of them who are dumb. I think it was just, the material was just a lot to take in all at once. Is like just going back and forth between the kid having his uncle narrate the story to him, and then just going back and forth to the main thing. It's just a lot to take in written form. So like James and I said in a different chat, another misconception is Norman Lear was heavily involved. Norman Lear just greenlit it. He just said, he convinced the guys at Fox, do it. That's all he did. He did what he pulled a Spielberg, wave my wand and give him money and move on, and
you gotta think at that time too, Reiner had just done Spinal Tap. He'd just done The Sure Thing.
Yeah.
So
and
this was movie number 3 for him. So,
and it's so funny how his father, Carl, is like, Robbie, you can do any movie you want, buddy. What do you want to do? Princess Bride. Anything but that. Anything. It's just so funny. It was the perfect example of when something's in language and development hell, no one wants to touch it. They're like, oh, I won't make money. And so it was just one of those, it's like, I'll work on this, $2 million budget. I'll make it work. Even though it didn't make quite all its money back, critics like it. It's a huge video hit, so they re-release it. And he had to navigate through other corridors. Robin Wright just done soap operas, and they had to release Carrie Ells from another movie he was making that wasn't going to be great. And I do feel like, without this, you definitely don't get Robin Hood Men in Tights. He loves making fun of the Errol Flynn type characters. You'll love this though. Reading the book, it is also funny. I don't recommend everyone read that first before they watch the movie. View of it more as kind of a companion piece. If you want more, others have mentioned how you get more detail on Diego Montoya. That's certainly true. But
are you saying the grandfather and grandson thing was tacked on for the movie?
No, it was there. It's just, that's kind of why it was just very thick. So people are looking at it, but because it's kind of a slow burn, it wasn't generating enough laughs. Kind of. It's kind of like if you read a very complex, thing in The Onion. You might not laugh right away. You got to reread it a few times. So I can understand why they were hesitant. They're like,
that's great art is like that. Yeah,
absolutely. It's just
it
I thought it worked.
Pick up more and more.
Yeah, no, it absolutely works, and now it's a no-brainer. Now when you tell people, let's break the fourth wall, oh sure, let's do it. It just was one of those. It's just a lot all at once for them to just kind of describe. It's just,
the humor, it's instantly
absolutely
appeals to most people.
And I mean, you quoted The King. I think that's what's just so funny too. Like that. Shrek absolutely steals from that with Lord Farquaad.
Okay.
Where are the ROUSs? The rodents of unusual size? I don't think they're this far back in the forest. Wow.
That's a good rat. Was that the Rancor or the rat? But yeah, Tyrone Rugin, I just love how the six-fingered man, I blew my mother's mind. She's like, wait, that's Christopher Guest? I'm like, yes. This is a spider.
And that's another thing Montoya says to the man in black as he's coming up when he comes up and they're giving a little rest before they get into their fight. He says, I do not mean to pry, but you don't by any chance happen to have 6 fingers on your right hand?
Absolutely. And again, for an adventure comedy fantasy movie, like the fantasy is more in the background, kind of like Excalibur and the magic potions, and the action was so well handled by Swordmaster Bob Anderson, who many will know from his work on both the Highlander movie and show. He was the Darth Vader sword fighting double in the trilogy, and then he finished up teaching everybody how to fling swords on Lord of the Rings trilogy. So, but I love the making of how they talked about how like they had everything down, like it was ahead of schedule on budget, and the comedy's working. Everybody flies in and out of Britain, and it's so funny. Like Rob Reiner looks at the dailies and says, "Oh wait a second! Don't just say yes to another contract. Patinkin, Els, you're going back. I need 5 more minutes of that sword fight." It was so fast for the camera. They just like you just need a little more, otherwise the audience is going to feel robbed. And that's what you love about Diego. There's some funny trivia about that. And that's also what makes it so rewatchable. It's like, okay, cool. I know everything I need to know. You killed my father. That's why he hates the guy. It's not just that he's evil. He's got a personal vendetta in this.
Yeah, you talk about the most quoted line.
Yeah,
it's the most quoted line, and it's so funny. Like someone's a movie geek if they're playing Call of Duty and they blow you up doing that. If you see them at a convention and they're waving their sword around, but if you notice, did you notice this, James? How the 5 wounds that the Count suffers in the climatic duel. There's 2 slashes in the face, a stab in the upper right arm, a stab to the left shoulder, and a killing thrust for the abdomen. See?
Yeah.
5 wounds that Montoya had inflicted on him. So they're even. Fatally even.
Now, in the sword fights, long shots, do they use doubles on occasion?
Yes. Yeah. But that's what I love too. Even though it is remastered in HD, even though they're closed off film sets, it is the kind of thing where you're just like, okay, yeah, it's just it tells the story. Yeah, it
was well done. They had everything right down.
I can't understand anybody hating this unless they are just so stuck up. They don't like the fantasy genre. They only want foul mouth comedy. It tells you literally everything you need to know. I know they did a home movie during COVID with a bunch of celebrities on Zoom, but like Jack Black and Ernie Hudson were in it. I think Jason Momoa was in there too. But yeah, I mean, there's so many things. I mean, when they do the so-called curtain call at the end, I miss when movies would do that. It's so funny how they pick the funniest moments where the king has an awkward silence and when the Count runs in the opposite direction as they're introducing him. it's the perfect curtain call. Just pick the wackiest moments of the movie. My mother loves the final insult that Wesley does while he's injured on the bed.
Oh yeah, that is a great scene.
I should be able to quote it. Wesley's insult, Princess Bride.
And I'll give you, James, a chance to say something you're probably going to want to say because it's in this movie. The impressive clergyman.
Marriage.
Yep.
Marriage is what brings us together today.
I went upstairs and just said that, and my wife goes, "You're watching Princess Bride, aren't you?"
Oh, wow.
Right.
Peter Cook.
Peter Cook.
We were in the movie theater.
Yes.
Peter Cook turned around. My mom goes, "Oh, God, what's he going to say?" And he came out and he said, "Marriage. Marriage is what brings us here together today." And my mom and my dad just fell out of their chairs laughing. That's how,
yes,
they were enjoying it,
Mm-hmm.
Isn't there, there's 3 Mel Brooks comparisons with this movie.
Oh, absolutely.
Okay.
Doesn't they also have a scene in Spaceballs where just get to the end, wrap it up?
Same year. Wow.
Yeah.
And also,
Billy
Crystal and Carol Kane reminded me of High Anxiety with Mel Brooks at the airport.
Yeah.
It sounded very much like that. And the other thing was, remember in Blazing Saddles, the whole, I'm terrible in my left hand, but I use my right hand. They do that.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
That might be a tribute.
Wilder's
that might be
some
homage.
I don't know if it's it could be.
Well, I mean,
similar idea.
It could be a device too, but still, it's fun to pick that up.
Well, and remember, Mike. First things first. To the death. No.
The death. No.
To the pain. I don't think I'm quite familiar.
No
with
to
that
the
phrase.
pain.
Oh, is that a
No
Mel
to
Brooks
the
thing too, or
no? I'm quoting from
oh,
the
I
movie.
got you.
But
Okay.
that's what I love is when people
there's so many quotable lines.
Trust me, I've been bullied before. When people say words can't kill, oh yes, they can. I mean, the fact that he convinces the guy to get too close to him and then disarms him, drop your sword.
Drop your sword. He goes, no, to the pain. First, I'll cut off your fingers, and then my thumbs. I know.
Right.
Then I'll cut yours, and then my eyes. Come on, let's go.
I
Come
wasn't
on.
finished. Yeah.
And then he's like, he's like, he's like, no, I know, I didn't know he was bluffing. He was
So
bluffing.
then there is a Monty Python homage. I understand. Let's get
Chris
on with
Sarandon
it.
Chris Sarandon is so. I mean, as a comic actor, he's so good at it. But Christopher Guest stole it out from everybody.
And it's not unpleasant, even though the person's being tortured. It's a Disney kind of thing where it's like, okay,
the scene. I think the first time. I mean, I really laughed.
Growing up, you're upset, and then you're like, yeah, but no, it doesn't. It really isn't all that long. It's literally just one scene. We know everything he's going to do. It's off screen. We just hear him groaning in pain. It doesn't take you out of the movie. There's so many other movies that do stuff like that nowadays, where there's either too much action or terror.
When you get
and when you're doing a genre mashup, it's like, remember, first things first. We gotta laugh.
Yeah.
Well, the thing I love is like Mel Smith comes his way around and says, "You're in the pit of, excuse me, you're in the pit of ultimate despair."
Well, the scene where Montoya and that guy, Six-Fingered Man, are about ready to square off, and then the Six-Fingered Man just turns around and runs away.
Yeah,
oh, that's great.
That's why I mentioned in the curtain call.
Montoya, you killed my father. Prepare to die. And he's like, he just takes off.
He doesn't. Yeah, he's a coward in every sense of the word, but that works for the comedy. And it's funny how you mentioned Peter Cook. There's plenty of times where you watch a show and someone will say in his accent, "marriage," and I'm like, I know what you're referencing.
Mystery Science Theater.
A lot.
Yeah.
They would do it so much whenever someone looked like they were baptizing or about to marry someone. You're like, yep, someone's a Princess Bride fan.
I was going to do that at my friend's wedding. I was going to give the.
You were going to do that?
Speech. I was going to speak.
During the service? Why not?
Did he compliment you?
JJ, you should be ordained just to do that.
Yeah,
you should absolutely do that.
I couldn't do it because the priest had like a heavy Polish accent, and every time he would say, he'd be like, "May I please have the wing?" And I'm like, I'm trying hard not to laugh. And I was going to say, marriage is a wonderful together.
It's all right.
But,
you can just be certified as a marriage counselor. James, can you please marry me? I don't mean marry me, just officiate my marriage. But yeah, no, and it's just, again, like, it's so funny growing up how, when you're a kid, you're thinking exactly like, Fred Savage's, kid. Oh, grandpa, this isn't going to get too, smoochy.
By
is
the
it?
end, he wants to hear about the kids.
It's like, and more curiosity kills the cat. So I get that Fred Savage is a questionable human being nowadays, but this movie dates pretty well, guys.
Well, the thing I got to say, Peter Falk is great in it because
he can you see anyone else in that role? I can't.
No.
And you guys were mentioning,
Jack Albertson maybe, but
maybe
I always thought Peter Falk was pretty good at delivering comedy.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah.
Like, and it's
he's come on, The Great Race, Jesus.
He's still in again. He's still kind of in Columbo mode where he's like, oh wait, but just one more question.
Yeah.
This is everything wrestling.
He's a little smarter than anybody else in the room.
I could have seen the dad on Happy Days probably doing a good job with the role.
Yeah.
Tom Bosley, I think he could have made it work. But that's just it. You got to get someone who, kind of like Jessica Walter. You got to have somebody who's just, you can do all kinds of things, but you know how to insert the comedic beats while you're being straight faced. You can't just be like, I know we all like, for instance, like people like Eddie Murphy and Jim Carrey, but like you can't just be manic all the time. You got to be a little, it's just kind of, you got to build up, and then the surprise is there's more to it than just the shock and surprise. There's all kinds of stuff you can, if you want to shoot the shit and figure out what a sequel would have looked like, would it
Well, I
have
was
been
going to
maybe
say
another
real quick.
Kingdom?
I just watched it a couple hours ago, and I was struck by something. Maybe I'm crazy. Robin Wright, sometimes in the same scene, she looks like 5 or 6 different women. I don't know if it's the lighting or
It's the lighting.
makeup.
Did they go through different? I'm sure they went.
Yeah,
I think there was some.
I don't know if that was. I don't know if it was intentional.
I don't think it was intentional, but I do think they had some, like every movie. The more it's in HD, the more you're going to see that's a reshoot.
That's probably it.
I got zero shitty things to say about this movie. I never would have, but like objectively, I don't have any flaws I would pick or nitpick. Like Wallace Shawn is perfect as Vizzini, as we've already mentioned.
I kind of wanted him to live and go on.
Yeah, it would have been so funny had he been a knucklehead. He could have been McKinney.
It wasn't a flaw. I mean, it was just wow.
It would have been funny if he showed up again and only to get killed again or something. It would have been funny.
Like the do today with the end credits. He'll probably just pop in after the credits are done.
Absolutely, yeah. Like if you're TK-421 in Star Wars or Ali Yong in any 80s movie, you're going to come back from the dead again. But like Andre the Giant is just so charismatic for a man who had no acting talent.
I remember they were filming that, and they said that Andre wasn't doing well. He was starting to get sick. His back was
cast
not
members.
as good.
Well, you'll love this though. Like Rob Reiner encouraged, everybody was like taken back by him because, like, again, he wasn't what they were used to working with. He had a good sense of humor, and apparently, Patinkin and Els were so close with him, they wanted to actually study. It's like, dude, so what do you do for your workout and everything? And what's so funny is when they were going on long days to make everybody guffaw and like stay focused. Nowadays, you'd be like, what are you doing? But in this scenario, to make the cast and crew guffaw, Andre would actually rip one.
Yeah,
and people were like that, like, because they knew his health was ailing, but at the same time, they're just like, we got this. If you're not ready to be funny, now you are. There you go. That's your contribution.
I mean, and then even like Wallace Shawn, like berating him as they're climbing up the cliffside.
Yes.
He's catching up to us. He says, well,
they do a good job. Like
he's only carrying himself.
Well, in most movies, when they have a stunt double, it's not very convincing. They do a good job of like hiding it. Like it's the typical like hide the face while I'm falling. Like especially the man who's falling in place of Robin Wright. You can't tell it's a man because the frame goes too fast and she ADRs. Oh, ow! It's how you should do that, and most people don't do it. Without fail, I will see someone who has an unconvincing wig, and I'm like, that's not so and so getting blown up or falling down the stairs.
These 3 horses.
I found these 3 horses. Yeah, and that's what I love too.
Hello, lady.
Hello. Yeah, that's what I love too. Like he does kind of a mixture, kind of like typical bodybuilder, Schwarzenegger kind of thing, but then he'll also, much like Diego, kind of advance the plot and what are we going to do next? Right. It's just.
Well, but like in the wheelbarrow, if we only had a wheelbarrow.
If we only had a wheelbarrow.
And then he goes for a resurrection cloak and he just whips it out.
Then there's the scene where the princess gets away and is swimming, and he, Fezzik says, I only dog paddle.
Yes.
Yeah, that's right.
See? You did even more homework. I love it. And
they set the moral tone early in where he says he's going to kill her, and they both say that wasn't on our. I wasn't planning on that.
Also, fun fact, you'll love this, guys. Terry Richards, who you know as the swordsman shot in Raiders of the Lost Ark, he did Peter Diamond. They're who choreographed a lot of Star Wars fight scenes. They're known for a lot of those Pinewood, Indiana Jones, James Bond stunt productions. Later became big coordinators on British TV, but they were part of the crew of this. That it is a pretty cool looking kingdom, and I love how, again, just it's just so funny how Humperdinck is just trying to rush everything, and he keeps getting interrupted. So again, kind of like Dr. Forrester, he's a funny villain, even though he's a piece of shit. It's just funny, and even the minor people, like the mother, of the boy, as well as the albino. They're just such the nutty characters add even more to the world.
Mel Smith I'd known from Alas Smith and Jones and
wow.
and not the 9 o'clock news, so I knew who he was.
So you had seen his English comedy. Right.
Yeah, I'd seen his comedy before, and then
he was in The Tall Guy, that one, Jeff Goldblum in the Tall Guy.
Yeah, I remember that one.
That Alias Smith and Jones, a Western?
No, it was Alas Smith and Jones.
It was a play on Alias, kind of Smith.
Oh, okay.
It was him and Griff Rives Jones, and they were doing sketch comedy, and I mean, some of the stuff they did on that show was so hilarious. Like Mel's like they're sitting there talking, and Mel's Griff Rives Jones is supposed to be stupid, but Mel Smith is supposed to be is smart, but he's really just stupider than.
He's dumber than dirt. Yeah.
Yeah, he's dumber than dirt, but he makes himself out to be smart, So there were these conversations they would have, the two of them. He says, I remember 1967, the bright colors, the music, the laughter. Were you a hippie? No, I was a deck chair salesman on Brighton Beach.
Also, we can't not talk about how there's some other cameos in here. Guy Fletcher from Dire Straits plays the Balladier's assistant, and Willie DeVille, the musician himself, you know him from Mink DeVille, but he later goes on to even use, Rob Reiner uses his music in some other stuff he does, like Stand By Me. It's interesting how it's not a musical, but it is a fun experimental music that they kind of put into this comedy,
There's one part I love when we think that she goes, I'm going to kill myself later. Oh, that's nice, dear.
Yeah. They take a 5-second and then leap into the thing. They become the roles. You don't ever feel like, okay, now they're just rushing this. Because look at other misfires that have done something similar. I like the Purple Rose of Cairo. That's fun, but some people feel the ending's a little weak on that Fantasyville. But then you see other stuff like Hudson Hawk, and you're like, oh boy, no. No.
I haven't seen the Purple Rose of Cairo, but Hudson Hawk,
that's great. That's based
terrible.
on Buster Keaton's.
That's a good point. You could use Mia Farrow and Jeff Daniels have great chemistry in that. But
basically what happens is that Mia Farrow is this woman. She's married to a real jerk, played by Dan Ariel, and the only thing she does is she goes to the movies all the time, and she sees the same movie over and over again.
Yes.
So what happens is that one time Jeff Daniels' character in the movie looks out, and he sees Mia Farrow, and he's like, he's like, what the. And he comes off the screen.
This is too good to be true. Yeah, it's just I'm doing comparisons where people from a book or a movie, go into the real world. Got something like Last Action Hero, or Gremlins 2. Just something funny, because Hudson Hawk's a perfect example of it's trying to be like Princess Bride, and it's awful. It does not work.
Purple Rose of Cairo. So it's no Last Action Hero, though, huh?
Right.
No,
it's good, but a different kind of good. But think of Roger Rabbit. Think of all kinds of movies that, just they have a movie within a movie or a book within a movie, and they're just showing two different characters who have a lot in common, even though they have to ultimately go back to their real world from which they came.
Yeah.
It's just, this is funny how in this case, these, and again, these guys were their own best critic. They were watching the dailies. They were seeing if the comedy worked, if it was eliciting any laughs. Reiner, obviously, coming from a sitcom and comedic, actor turned dad helps totally. But that they tried it out. They were like, how about we have, the heroes, feature more in the.
It's
real
Christopher
world.
Guest basically, I think, wrote that with. Put the jokes in there too a little bit.
He helped out with it, and originally they wanted them to feature more, come up to the kids, room, and they're like, that's a little too much. Just, the grandfather, he's closed the book, just end it there. Let's have the music play.
As you wish.
Good. As you wish. I'm sure that's what he said in the. Wouldn't that be funny if Reiner or somebody at Castle Rock said that to the Fox? It was like, you're going to do exactly what we say, as you wish.
Well,
yes. Is there a joke? Yeah, that's the joke.
Mike, you say, you brought up, how much it's like Blazing Saddles and Spaceballs and all that. And, think about it, his father, the guy who's directing it, his father, and Mel Brooks, he probably hung around with them all the time, absorbing that humor.
Oh, yeah.
I'm sure he saw Carol Kane on Taxi, and it wasn't far from when she had proved herself as a dramatic actress and done stuff like When a Stranger Calls.
We'll return after these messages.
Do you ever find yourself thinking about who would win in a fight between Goku and Superman? Hi, I'm James Gavsey, and on the Who Would Win show, me and my co-host Ray ignore anything important happening in the outside world and debate fictional battles between characters from comics, movies, and video games.
We got a new show every week, and almost always am I the winner.
Yeah, not true, Ray.
In the past, we've discussed such matches as Captain America versus Darth Vader, Solid Snake versus the Iron Giant, classic matchups like RoboCop versus Terminator, and even the Muppets versus Sesame Street.
That one was crazy. So if you're a fan of geek culture and love a spirited debate, check out the Who Would Win show wherever you get your podcasts, or check us out at whowouldwinshow.com.
In 1972, Academy Award winner William Goldman wrote The Princess Bride. It took 15 years before director Rob Reiner brought it to the screen. Now critics and audiences agree it was worth the wait. Joel Siegel says The Princess Bride is thrilling, exciting, very funny, and absolute magic. Don't miss it. People magazine calls it an instant classic, the good time movie of the year. Just the right mix of hilarity and heartbreak. The entire cast is superb, but the funniest is Billy Crystal.
I'm not listening.
Bill Harris says The Princess Bride is one of the best movies of the year, an absolute gem. One of the funniest and most charming comedies I've seen in a long time, says Roger Ebert. And Siskel and Ebert give it 2 big thumbs up.
Bye-bye, boys. Have fun storming the castle.
The Princess Bride, rated PG. Now playing at theaters everywhere.
You've done Pandemonium, that comedy Pandemonium.
That's a good point.
Which is great to watch. I love that movie.
And now she's in Star Trek.
Now she's in Star Trek, yeah.
She's awesome. She's still never seen.
But the thing I've always said about getting Carol Kane and Billy Crystal to work together was like, okay, you got to think Carol Kane was great in dramatic movies, but she'd done The World's Greatest Lover with Gene Hackman. She worked in Annie Hall.
That's a good
She'd
point.
done Taxi, as so she could be a comic actress.
So much like Reiner, he knows she can do an ensemble thing. It's just
And the thing is, this was I think the second time that Reiner and Guest had worked together, and I think after that they kind of like Reiner wanted to do his own thing, and Guest wound up doing his own stuff. And, Guest would wind up doing The Big Picture.
That's a good point. Yeah, with Kevin Bacon.
A year or two later.
Yeah, that's a sleeper movie. I like that.
Yeah.
And same kind of deal. You're pulling back the curtain on the Hollywood scene, but again, not every movie can do that. Like we already listened to other examples. There's so many times where it's like, guys, I know how a movie's made, but what are you trying to say? Satire is hard to do because you have to know. Again, people have to play it straight faced, even though it's supposed to be funny. You have to have a semblance of the kind of comedy you're trying to be. There's all kinds of shit you've got to, it shouldn't be a puzzle, but unfortunately, time and again has been for so many people. They don't listen or they're not paying attention to the comedy. And it's like, now I can't think of any movie or even sitcom now that doesn't have like multiple things happening all at once.
Well, you got to wonder, like Naked Gun.
Yeah.
And you got to wonder, because, with the old one, the gags were in the background too. You had to be paying attention to catch it.
Absolutely. And that kind of goes, like Mike was saying with Mel Brooks, you got to go to that same kind of location. It's like, okay, if you're not laughing at this, I got to have some other wacky song playing, or I got to have this one actor in the background. He should be doing some funny body language that's related to a skit we did earlier. There's nothing worse when people are static, like they're in the scene. Like the worst thing I can think of is I saw Office Christmas Party. It had an all-star cast, but despite being rated R, the profanity wasn't funny. So that's when we all tapped out. It was like, something's wrong when they can't even get that right.
Yeah, I like Jason Bateman. He was in Office Party.
And that's where we're like, these actors are giving it their all, but this.
And I was kind of disappointed in that movie too.
Yeah, it was so funny. It was Christmas Eve, and we're like, you want to just rewatch Die Hard? Yeah. They're like, sure, let's do it. Because it's just, there's nothing worse when you're 40 minutes into a comedy and you're just like, it's not going anywhere. Everything I want is here and it's still not delivering. It's just, how often have you seen, a movie that's freaky but doesn't have anything to say, or it's action packed but you're bored because it just has too many explosions? It's just how about when you see it, you go to a concert but you got to tap out because it's getting too repetitive, despite all the money you've just saved up for this occasion. Everyone has their limits, so there's nothing worse when people use up or don't use all the talent on deck, and it just doesn't live up to the hype.
Yeah, well, like the Transformers movies, I've never gotten into those because it's just too much.
It's too much. It's not even Michael Bay doing what he can do. He's pretty much didn't care and just did it. Yeah. And you're like, okay, well, there's a reason Riff Tracks is dissing him.
Yeah.
One more thing on Princess Bride. Were all of you concerned when they're rolling down the hill? He's wearing a sword.
Yeah, it is kind of funny.
It shows up later. It's not like he tossed it because he kills.
No, that's a good point. Because if it were a lesser,
wow, I kept thinking, oh man, It's one thing to roll down a hill, but you got a sword on you.
If it were a lesser movie where it brought too much unneeded attention to something that isn't a problem, but just looks cheesy on film, you would totally be like, he's gonna impale himself falling down. But because
it's a movie,
suspension of belief. Yeah.
Well, that is exactly it. Like, it draws us in, and then it just literally hits us, and then zoom, crane shot to this, and you're like, "What's happening?" It's just, it gets your attention to the gag.
If you weren't concerned about the sword, you wouldn't be caring about the characters too.
Exactly, and plus, they've just given a key piece of information, as she's trying to unmask him and everything. So it's just, the movie's getting so much off its chest in the first 20 minutes instead of, taking its sweet time. Trust me, every movie there's a bad, mirror universe version of. I can totally see a mediocre version of this somewhere where the gags are just taking forever to get going and the costumes are cheap looking or something. No, they put so much attention into everything. It's like, this is how we're going to dress. This is how we're going to talk. This is how we're going to go about the comedy. This is how we're going to frame it. It's just a very rare example. It's like everybody got it. Everybody was speaking the same lingo. It wasn't,
one thing that wouldn't work with that, they never break the fourth wall. I don't think I would.
No.
Absolutely. Yeah,
they never wink at the audience. Yeah,
absolutely. That's
in a way, it was Peter Falk's character was kind of doing that for the movie.
He did it.
That lets you know it's a book, sure, but
it helps that they interrupt at the right time and then they acknowledge, "Oh, I'm sorry, I'm being rude. Let's get back to it." See, cool. There's nothing worse when characters are oblivious to what they're doing, and it really kills your enjoyment of the movie.
But that fourth wall thing can really work. I loved it in 48 Hours when the two rich guys are talking to Eddie Murphy. He looks out at the audience like, "Do you believe these two clowns?"
Oh no, that was Trading Places.
Trading Places. I'm sorry, you're right. Trading Places. What did I say? 40.
But that's a good point. That was kind of calling back to his 48 Hours role, and at the same time, it is kind of funny how it's just a way of just, the movie's getting some amusing commentary in for the character's dilemma. And it's a perfect example of, can you believe this shit I'm hearing? Yeah, it's just.
Yeah, but a fantasy movie like this one, the fourth wall thing would have that wouldn't have worked. Been popped the balloon a little bit,
Yeah,
it would have been too much. And so it's really just the narrator's interrupting. It's not
right.
I'm looking at the camera and did you get it?
That universe itself never acknowledges, this is, it doesn't do that. Which, again, that wouldn't have worked, I don't think. Anyway.
That's a good point.
My Wesley will always come for me.
Your Wesley is dead.
You may have heard tales of damsels in distress.
I'm killing myself once we reach the honeymoon suite.
Wouldn't that be nice?
But you've never seen anything like the Princess Bride.
Inconceivable!
She gets kidnapped. He gets killed.
I've seen worse.
But it all ends up okay.
Have fun storming the castle.
The Princess Bride, a new comedy by Rob Reiner, rated PG. Now playing at theaters everywhere.
Follow us on the web on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. The podcast is available on Podbean, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Anchor, Apple, and anywhere else podcasts are available. Feel free to review our show and leave comments on any of those sites. Thanks a million for listening.
It's a jacked